Okay, next, the weekly analysis. We're just going to go over a few of the trade ideas and trades that I was entered in last week. And we're beginning with the new COT figures. I think I did say I'll do a video on this one, but I forgot to do it. I just manually entered the numbers here from the latest COT report. So this was here in column B originally, but I've moved it down to column C. And then what was here in column C originally, I've now moved down to column D. So what we can now see here is the latest information. Now do remember it is a lagged report, so it is a couple of days after the fact. So these numbers here would have been precise 3 trading days ago. So that would have been from Tuesday. Today I'm recording this video on a Saturday, but these figures would have come out late Friday evening. So these are 3 days old already. And this is something that I'm learning with the COT. So yeah, so that's that. Just have a quick look at the numbers here so you can see. So we are going, so 1099 for euro. So has it moved in a more positive or negative number? So it was a positive, it's moved slightly negative, and now it's moving slightly more towards a positive number. But however, it's still, as you can see here, positioning regime is short, right? The open interest, you'll also notice 790, 794, 799. So now there's more interest behind this. So this looks like maybe a bearish build. The pound, interestingly, it's still short because it's a negative number, but those negative numbers are decreasing. It's becoming more positive. Now, this is interesting because the UK gets a new prime minister soon. So I'm very interested to see, and I'll look at the chart here on the pound in just a moment, to see whether or not the shorts were covering themselves. And then what you'll see is price may have gone into a premium, and we may see the pound start to fall off from here. But we'll see what happens with this. This is interesting. Pound, so the Japanese yen is pretty much the same. Aussie dollar, there's increased weakness there quite considerably since 2 weeks ago. New Zealand and CAD. Now these two are at their extreme levels. So you can see here, extreme short, extreme short. And we'll talk about those in a moment. And then we've got the Swiss franc, which doesn't ever really move that much, but it's slightly stronger from 2 weeks previous. Okay, so that's the COT. Now I have made one new addition. This is called the Spring Watch. And I'm taking this from the 3 years worth of data of COT and open interest data. And we can see that both New Zealand and CAD, they are at their extreme levels. And what the data suggests is that New Zealand and CAD, being in their extreme environment, they tend to be coiled and then they will spring the opposite way. So you'll find that New Zealand and CAD are extreme shorts, as it says here, but you'll see a lot of strength that's been going into these pairs. So I'm wondering whether or not these are about to spring back in the opposite direction relative to their positions. Okay, so that's the new addition to the COT. And let's take a look at the weekly FX signals as well. There's so many here, I couldn't possibly go through all of them. Yeah, make the video, impossibly long, right? So we've let's just take a look at our prime setups here. So US dollar CAD, strong buy. That's a prime setup. And also New Zealand US dollar. That's also a prime setup. But you'll see here we've got a flag for chasing. And here chasing as well. And then if we look across, we'll see the positioning read as well. Now this is something new, what I never actually did before with the COP, because what I found is that it's not that great at directional bias. It doesn't often get it right because we look at it at a weekly snapshot. So we think, okay, so it's consistently strong sell for 2 weeks in a row. Therefore, the price action for pound US dollar, it's just going to be going down, but it doesn't work quite like that. It's the direction is true enough, but it's the path that it takes to get there, which is two very, very different things. So I'm looking at this less as a strong sell, but what I'm starting to do now is take a look at the positioning read. I'm looking, because the positioning read is in real time. The COT data, if you remember me saying, it's delayed data. You can't accurately rely on that. But what we can do is that we can look at the positioning read in slightly more up-to-date, more real-time action. So I'm now looking at the positioning read and the field check side by side. And I'm looking for a more of an ideal environment. So if we go back to New Zealand US, I think that was on the watch list. Let's take a look. Where was it? Okay, it wasn't that. It was a trade that I took last week and I was stopped out. I think it was this. Yeah, there we go. That's it. New Zealand US, strong sell. This has consistently been a strong sell for a few weeks now. And I'm just going to bring up the notes here. So for 3 weeks in a row, New Zealand US has been a strong sell. This week's bias is strong sell. New Zealand dollar is -7, which is a bearish build. US dollar is a +5, which is a bullish build. But let's take a look from the 6th, which is back here, right? So ever since here, we've had nothing but a strong New Zealand dollar. Yet the COP report is saying strong sell, weak New Zealand dollar, strong US dollar. We're seeing completely the opposite price direction. Now, I do believe that eventually this will turn, but it's the path that we need to pay closer attention to. So if I just jump back to New Zealand US dollar again, it says we're chasing it. New Zealand is an extreme short, bearish build, high crowd. US dollar is in a bullish build. But the problem is the New Zealand dollar is at an extreme. There's no new fuel to turn it the opposite way. So the shorts are loading up. And I'm interested to see, yes, this was a loss. And I'll talk about this in just a moment. But I'm wondering whether or not now we're going to start to see a breakdown in price action, and we'll see a reversal from this point here. Looking at the daily on the New Zealand US dollar, MACD is very strong. And we may still continue going upwards, but we just need to be patient now and wait on our hands. Now, the reason why I entered this trade, really just from a H4 perspective, was of that huge breakdown here price slowly started to grind up. We pulled nicely back into the fair value gap, anchored the fib, liquidity sweep right here, target just below here, started to move in our direction. But then what happened was we had some US inflation news come out, and it just flipped the opposite way. So I'm still bearish on this, but we'll just wait and see what happens here. Like I said, I'm more interested now in this. As soon as I get the signal that the New Zealand dollar is starting to move away from its percentile range, being 3-year range in its lowest percentile out of an entire 3 years, the data suggests that the longer it sits there, the stronger and more powerful it gets. It's like a tectonic plate, I suppose, rubbing together. The more friction and longer it's spent in that state, the quicker the snapback. So let's see what happens here. And it's also the same with CAD as well. So I'll jump into the chart here as well. And let's see, did I have... no, I didn't take that one. Didn't take EuroCAD. Now, CAD is obviously getting stronger because of the conflict resuming and the price of oil increasing. So naturally, that will go hand in hand. So that's also a good indicator for when you trade the CAD. But there was, I'm sure there was another, what was it? US dollar CAD. Okay, well, maybe I'll take this one. Let me pause this. No, okay, I kind of lost my train of thought there anyway. But the point I was trying to make is that New Zealand is also, New Zealand dollar is also, along with CAD, at the extreme level. So I'm going to keep my eye on these two specifically because they're very, very weak at the moment, and they're in their extreme states. So I'm just going to observe to see what happens next week or maybe the week after to see if there's a change in this. And if there is, then I'll be jumping on those trades. So let's take a look. Let's see what I've been doing. I never entered this trade here. US dollar CAD. I entered into a buy trade here. I like the big strong push up. I like the slow retracement down here. We've got a huge area of imbalance that you can see just where the cursor is. Entered the trade here. Stop loss just here. But you can see that this is, it looks like it's probably going to be taken out. But I'm still going to leave it because US dollar CAD, as you can see, the direction is a strong buy. CAD is -7, US dollar is +5, but we're seeing this huge strength to the Canadian dollar right now. So it doesn't fully align with the COT report. But if we take a look, US dollar CAD, where am I? Here we go. Okay, strong buy, pass, trade, conviction score is 19. Remember, you want a high score here and a low score here. That makes it a prime setup. But the problem is the Canadian dollar is at the extreme and there's no new fuel. There's no incentive for this to move away from its current position at the moment. So we've still got short sellers piling into this. So this is interesting. I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to this going forward. And probably just wait until price action gives me a different reading. Now, if it did give me a different reading, I probably would have waited for something like this. So there will be the break of structure here. I would typically wait for something like this, a push up, a shallow retracement back down. Maybe I don't get the full fill of the 71, but then once we get that, and then we're pushing away. We never did quite get that break of structure. So yeah, paying attention to these fuel checks from now on a little bit more. Okay, what else? US dollar, Swiss franc, nothing there. Aussie dollar, US dollar. Yeah, I entered a sell here. It was a sell stop play, so I didn't actually manually take this one. This was tapped in already. Aussie dollar, US dollar. MACD is still a little bit too bullish for my liking, but I did like that gradual push up into this area. And I guess we'll just see where this goes from now. On the COT, Aussie dollar, US dollar, it's flagging a strong sell. Conviction score is 14, trade rank 5, so not the best, but it's reasonable. Trade status should be put on your watch list, and this is the one that we're looking for, the fuel check. There's room to run, so it's not overstretched. So let's just see if this one plays out or not. And yeah, we can come back to this one next week. So for now, I'm just leaving it. US dollar Japan, I've been in this trade for the longest of times, and it's just a very slow, painful grind. This one here, a push up. Big push back down again into that daily fair value gap, and you can see here I anchored at the swing point here and entered on the roughly the 71% of the Fibonacci tool, almost at take profit, but yeah, we'll just leave that one for now. Aussie dollar CAD, yeah, messy. This one hasn't been too good. Still, because of the low fuel CAD at the extreme level, it just hasn't really been working in my favor for this one, despite the daily fair value gap. But you can see it's just very, it's just not going very nicely, is it? It's not very clean. No clean swings. So this one is whatever it is going to be. And I think that's it, really, for all the trades. Don't want to make this one too long, but I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait for pound New Zealand. Now, I never entered this trade here. I'm simply just waiting. I was interested to see whether or not we would get a push from here. It looks like I entered this trade here, but I didn't. So this looks like, had we have anchored this the opposite way, the fib would have gone here, placed here at the swing low, taps beautifully into that 70 level, stop would have gone here, and take profit would have gone down there. And that would have been a great trade. That would have been a nice trade. But like I said, pound New Zealand, let's take a look one more time. This will be the last example. Strong buy. Average conviction and ranking is mixed. And the problem is, coiled, New Zealand is the extreme, and there's no new fuel, which is pushing the New Zealand dollar down and down and down. So this seems to be a little bit more of a accurate representation to this. If anything, this is starting to supersede the direction, because the direction is quite late to the party because of the lag in the data coming out. But this is real time, and yeah, I'm just going to pay attention to that going forward. So we'll see how this progresses. Don't think there's anything else to say. I think that's about it. Lots of ignores this week. We've got the pound. Oh yeah, I was going to show one pound example. And let's see. I think it was it pound US? Yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. So for one promised final time, strong sell. Squeeze confirmed. The pound now is covering. The open interest is falling away. So I'm interested to see whether or not now because of the new PM that's going to come in, we're going to start to see the pound strip away. And this move here was just a fake move, buying at a completely premium level before the move comes back down and we see strength back to the US dollar. But I guess that all depends on what this new PM starts to announce. All right, so that's it.